All right, this is 11-7 day 1. I'm going to go ahead and encourage you to have a pencil ready because we'll be doing some erasing today. So factoring polynomials when? Today we are doing degree 2, which we know are called quadratics. We are still working with polynomials with 3 terms, and those are trinomials. But what's different about our factoring today is that the leading coefficient, A, is going to be a prime number. So A equals a prime number. So we know we're working with ax squared plus bx plus c. This A value is going to be prime today. Of course, that may be after a GCF. So what does prime mean? Hopefully we do know that that means that our number only has factors that are 1 and itself. The only factors of a prime number are 1 and itself. So an example of that is 2, or 3, or 5. Those are prime numbers. Real quick, let's recall the distributive property. So we have 2x plus 3 times x plus 3. We talked about distributing in a little bit different way than usual. Sometimes people mention it looks like a monkey or Curious George. But we start with this 2x times x because that gives us our A value. So if we have ax squared plus bx plus c, when we do 2x times x, that gives us our A value of 2x squared. Then we do the 3 times the 3 because that gives us our C value. So 3 times 3 is going to give us our C value of 9. And then we work with our inner product. 3 times x gives us 3x. And our outer product, 2x times 3, gives us 6x. Together, when we add the 3x and the 6x, the inner product and the outer product, that gives us our B value. So in this case, our B value is going to be 9x. So that's just recalling distributive property. We will be using this to check our work today. So factoring completely when A is prime. Well, the first thing that we will always do, always check for a GCF. So let's do that. 3x squared minus 13x minus 10. Is there anything I can take out of 3, 13, and 10? No, nothing in common, and there are no x's in common. So on this one, there's actually no GCF. The second thing that we do is find the factor pairs for A and for C, and we'll write them out above it. So for A, we'll write the factors here. For C, we'll write the factors. So let's do that for this problem. What are the factors of 3? The only factors of 3 are 1 and 3 because it is prime. What about the factors of 10? Well, we know the factors of 10 are 1 and 10. Does 2 go into 10? Yes. 2 and 5. Does 3 go into 10? No. Does 4? No. Does 5? Well, we have looped around. So 1 and 10 and 2 and 5. Once we have found our factors, we're going to go ahead and set up our parentheses. If we have a GCF, it'll go here, but in this case, we don't have a GCF. So step 3 says, guess and check until you find a combination that works. So that's what we're going to do now. Well, we know that to start our parentheses, we're going to start with 1x and 3x. Where did that come from? This term here, these terms, 1x times 3x, we just saw here, when we multiply them, that gives us A. So when I multiply 1x times 3x, that gives me 3x squared. 1 and 3 are the only options, so we know those have to work. Now we're going to start playing around with these and see what works for those. So we can start by trying 1 and 10. In order to check, we check our inner product and our outer product. So I plugged in factors of 10, 1 and 10, because we know we have to have these numbers give us 10, multiply to get C. So the inner product is 3x, outer product is 10x. Now we ask ourselves, can I make 3x and 10x equal that middle term, negative 13x? Yes, I can. If 3 is negative and 10 is negative, negative 3x minus 10x give us negative 13x. So if I want that inner product to be negative, then I need that 1 to be negative. If I want the outer product to be negative, I need the 10 to be negative. The last step that is so important is check your signs. This means we need to make sure that the multiplication of these numbers, -1 times -10, gives us a -10. Well, what does -1 times -10 give us? +10. So is this our answer? No. We need this multiplication for C to give us a negative. Okay? That doesn't work, so we're just going to try another combination. We know we'll have 1x and 3x because we have to have 3x squared. We tried 1 and 10, so let's flip them and try 10 and 1. Inner product will be 30x. Outer product will be 1x. Can 30x and 1x ever combine to give us -13x? No, that's not going to work. So I'm going to come over here and try a new combination. We tried 1 and 10 and 10 and 1, so cross that out. That one's done. We still know we'll have 1x and 3x. Now we're going to try 2 and 5. So I can start out by trying a 2 here and a 5 here. Inner product is 6x. Outer product is 5x. Will 6x and 5x ever give us -13x? No, that one doesn't work. So because we know 2 and 5 doesn't work, we need to flip it and try 5 and 2. We're going to try 5 and 2. The inner product is 15x. The outer product is 2x. Is there any way for me to make 15x and 2x become -13x? Yes, there is. If that 15 is negative, -15 plus 2 is -13. So I need that inner product to be negative. I bring the negative in front of the 5. I need outer product to be positive, so that's a +2. Last thing we do here is we check our signs. So does -5 times +2 give us that -10? Yes, it does. So we finally found our pair. These are the factors that we multiply together to get this trinomial. Okay? Usually how I'm going to do it is write in pencil and then just erase. But if you like to write each of them out and then just put an X beside them, you can do that as well. So let's get some practice. Our first problem is going to be 3x squared minus 8x minus 11. All right, well, our factors, well, before we do that, GCF. Is there a GCF of 3x squared, 8x, and 11? No, no GCF, so now we can do the factors. Factors of 3 are 1 and 3. Factors of 11 are just 1 and 11. So now let's set up our parentheses. We know in our parentheses that we have to have 1x and 3x because together those will give us that a value of 3x squared. And our factor pair is 1 and 11. So I'm just going to go ahead and try 1 here and 11 here. We try our inner product of 3x. We try our outer product, that's 11x. Is there any way to make 3x and 11x become -8x? Yes, there is. If I make the 11 negative, -11 plus 3 will give us -8. So -11x means this outer product is negative. Positive 3x means inner is positive. But what's the last thing we always do? Check our signs. So we need this to be a -11. Positive 1 times -11, does that give us -11? Yes, it does. So we actually got lucky on our first try. And we have x plus 1 and 3x minus 11. You can keep the 1x there, or you can just write it as x. Same thing. I'm going to write the next problem, and I want you to try it on your own. So number 3, 2x squared plus 7x plus 6. Pause the video and try it, and then come check your work with me. All right, let's go over it together. 2, our factors are 1 and 2. And 6, the factors are 1 and 6, and 2 and 3. And of course, I assumed that you went ahead and checked for a GCF and said, no, there's nothing that can come out of all of those. So now we're just going to start trying things. What do we have to have for the first two factors? We have to have a 1x and a 2x because that's what will give us the 2x squared. Now let's try some factors. A lot of times I'm going to start with the smallest factors, especially if this middle number is not a really big number. So I'm actually going to go ahead and start with 3 and 2. Well, the inner product of 3 and 2 is going to be 6x. The outer product is going to be 2x. Is there any way for 6x and 2x to give us 7x? No, there's not. So I'm just going to erase these and flip them. We tried 3 and 2. Now let's try 2 and 3. Well, the inner product will now be 4x. The outer product will now be 3x. Can I make 4x and 3x 7x? Yes, I can, if they're both positive. So I want my outer product to be positive, my inner product to be positive, and that gives me 1x plus 2 and 2x plus 3. What do we do at the end? Check our sign. So we need this to be a positive 6. Does positive 2 times positive 3 give us positive 6? Yes, it does. So for our factors, we have x plus 2 and 2x plus 3. Let's head to the back. Number 4. That's going to be 2x squared plus 5x minus 18. I want you again to try it on your own and then check your work with me. All right, first thing we always try is GCF. There is no GCF here, so let's do our factors. The factors of 2 are 1 and 2. 18, we've got 1 and 18. We have 2 and 9. We have 3 and 6. Does 4 go into 18? No. Does 5? No. So now we've looped back around to 6. Set up your parentheses. What do we have to have in the front? We have to have a 1x and a 2x. That's the only thing that will give us 2x squared. Now we start trying our factors. This middle term is pretty small, so I'm going to start with smaller factors and start by trying 3 and 6. Well, my inner product will be 6x. My outer product will also be 6x. Can I make 6x and 6x into 5x? No, I can't. So that's not going to work, and we need to flip them. We tried 3 and then 6, so now let's try 6 and then 3. Inner product, 6 times 2x gives us 12x. Outer product is 3x. Can I make 12x and 5x? Can I make 12x and 3x into 5x? Again, no. So we tried both combinations of 3 and 6, and it didn't work. So erase it. Let's try 2 and 9. 2 and 9. Well, inner product is 4x. Outer product is 9x. Is there a way for us to make 4x and 9x into 5x? Yes, there is. 9 minus 4 is 5. So if I make that 4 negative, then we'll have a positive 5x. Well, now we need to make our inner product negative, so negative 2. Outer product should be positive. What's the last thing we always do? Check our sign. We need to have a negative 18. So negative 2 times positive 9 gives us negative 18. So that one works. We end up with x minus 2 and 2x plus 9.